Hey guys! Today on Gatecrafting and DIY, I will show you how to make 3 easy Pinterest-inspired St. Patrick's Day DIYs that are fairly easy, and if you're a crafter like I am, you probably have most of the supplies on hand. The first DIY will be a mason jar art, which will serve as storage as well as a decoration. I am using a Waverly white chalk paint to use as the base coat. This will give the mason jar a nice matte finish. The instructions on the back of the paint say to clean glass with rubbing alcohol, so that's what I did first. This will help the paint adhere to the jar as well as create a clean surface to paint on. I am using a wide brush to paint towards the neck of the jar, making sure I'm using even strokes so that the paint doesn't look streaky after the first coat dries. Make sure that you're getting into all the crevices of the jars, such as words or images. After painting the body of the jar, make sure to paint the top of the jar. Now it's up to you if you want to paint the bottom of the jar. I personally don't like to paint the bottom of the jar, but it's up to you. After that, set it aside to dry and then apply a second coat. Once your second coat is dry, you're ready to move on to the next step. Now with a pencil, draw where you want your shamrocks to be. I am referencing the shamrocks that I painted on my first jar, though with this jar, I wanted the shamrocks to be more dispersed. Planning where the shamrocks will go will make it easier to visualize how your mason jar will look like and where more or less shamrocks are needed. If you make a mistake or change your mind, it is very easy to erase the pencil marks. Now after you're finished sketching your shamrocks, you can start mixing your paint. I'm using a spring green and a Christmas green from the Apple Barrel brand, as well as a metallic green and gold from the Folk Art brand. The metallic colors will give it a nice shine once you mix them into your paint. I am mixing 2 shades of green, a darker and a lighter color. Now with the lighter color and a filbert brush, start painting the outlines of the shamrocks that you have drawn. Now my camera decided to turn off on me, so I couldn't show you what I did next. But all I did is I kept on painting the shamrocks, and then I went over them once more with that lighter green color so that they were less opaque. Once I finished that with a detail brush and the darker green color, I went around each shamrock, giving them a little bit more dimension with the extra layer of color. Once you're finished, let it dry and then erase any remaining pencil marks that you didn't paint over or that were just left over. Now after this, you're basically done. You can add details like the gold rim I did on my first jar, or some kind of jute cord, burlap, or ribbon around the top and make a cute bow with it. But I decided to leave mine like it is, and now we're on to our next project. Now for this next project, you're going to need a piece of canvas, paint, a ruler, and a pencil. It's going to be simple. Now, as you can see, I put a picture up of what I want to recreate. That is made out of wood, but I'm trying to make this easy and simple for us to recreate. Now on the canvas, draw the shape of a shamrock. If you make any mistakes, you can always erase them. Now after this, I was going to use washi tape to make it easier so my lines would be straight, but in the end it didn't work out exactly how I wanted it to, so I decided to scratch that idea. But I did want my planks to be the same width as that washi tape, so I measured how wide it was, and using my ruler I just made my guidelines and then made my line straight across. You can see that in the end I decided not to use my guidelines and just went across with the ruler. Once you have finished this, you can move on to mixing your paint. Now I used the same paint as before with the previous project, but I did decide to add white to it to lighten the colors more to give them more contrast. I decided to use 5 colors, including the 2 previous colors, because I did have some left on my palette. And then I just started going down, making myself a pattern, kind of referencing the image that I showed you before, using that as inspiration and alternating my colors all the way down the shamrock. Now you can see in the beginning when I started to paint, I did leave gaps because I kind of wanted it to be spaced out wood, but in the end I went back and then painted over those, and I decided that that looked a bit better. But it all depends on how you like it to look like and how you want your shamrock to look like. And there you go, a nice piece of art to put on your wall. Now on to our last DIY. Now for this next project, I'm going to show you how to make paper shamrocks. They're really easy and really cute to make as decorations. You're going to need decorative paper or just plain green paper, scissors, double-sided tape, a ruler, and a pencil. The mat you see behind is totally optional. Now you're going to need 2 pieces of paper. I chose these 2 different patterns. I didn't like the stripe one, so I opted out of that one. You're going to turn them around, and then you're going to measure 1-inch strips. You're going to measure that and then cut them into the 1-inch strip pieces. Now do the same process with the other piece of paper, and you can always save that little extra piece of scrap as scrap paper if you like scrapbooking or if you just like doing paper crafts. Now after you're finished cutting both pieces of paper, decide which one you're going to want on the top and which one you're going to want on the inside of the shamrock. I'm using the lighter colored paper on the outside and the darker colored paper on the inside of my shamrock. So you're going to need 3 pieces of paper of the color you're going to want on your outside and 2 of the one that you're going to want on the inside. The first thing you're going to do is cut the 2 pieces that you want for the inside in half. And then you only need 3 of them. You can use the other piece as scrapbook paper. After you cut the paper that you're going to want on the inside of your shamrock, you're going to cut 2 pieces of the other paper that's going to go on the outside. You're going to cut 1 inch off both pieces of paper. After you're finished cutting your paper, fold all of your pieces of paper in half. Now open one of your smaller pieces and put a piece of double-sided tape on that folded line. Then grab one of your longer pieces and put it folded side in on that piece of double-sided tape, then fold them closed. Now repeat this step with the rest of the pieces of paper. After you're finished with that, grab one of the strips of paper, and then with the shorter piece of paper, fold them out, tape one of the ends, and tape them together. Now, tape the end of that piece, flip it around, and tape the end of the longer piece of paper. My explanation is pretty vague, but you can see on the video what I'm doing. Then grab one of the longer strips of paper and place it towards where the double-sided tape was on the shorter one, and then the same with the other side. Once you're finished, it's going to look like a heart, as you can see. Do this to all of your pieces of paper. As you can see, there's going to be one heart shape that's going to be bigger than the others. That's the one we did not cut the inch off. So that one, we're going to put double-sided tape on the end and then put one of the smaller ones on one of the sides, and then do the same but put it on the other side of the larger heart. And there you go, you're done. Very easy, very simple. It only took 5 minutes to make. Now for extra support, I did staple the ends of mine, but they look so pretty. Now you can make it just as table decorations, or you can even make hanging decorations. And there you are, 3 easy St. Patrick's Day DIYs inspired by Pinterest. Now get crafting and DIY. Like, share, and subscribe for more content.